morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you are. This is Alea Leyland, and this is another episode of the Boss Chronicles. This is a continuation of our talk about being an online reseller or retailer. First of all, I want to determine what an online retailer is, or actually I should say what it is not. It is not selling on eBay or selling on Amazon or selling on Etsy or the auction.com or any of those type of sites. Those sites are wonderful, and they have made it extremely easy for you to set up a sale on those sites. But that's not what I'm talking about when I talk about being an online retailer or reseller. And I think I probably should use the terminology retailer as opposed to reseller, because reseller usually means like selling URLs or hosting websites or that kind of thing, and that's not what I'm talking about either. So I want to be clear in our definitions first of all. Now, the other thing that we're not talking about is we're not talking about a portal to a retail brick and mortar space. And what that is like the website that goes with Costco, or the website that goes with Target, or the website that goes with Walmart, or any of those kinds of websites. And even some of the small boutique type stores have a website that goes with them, and you can order things on the website and it'll get delivered to the store, or you can order things that are in the store and they can be shipped to you and that type of thing. That's not what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that's very different about that than what we're talking about is, in that case, you have to stock inventory. And we're talking about doing something that does not include stocking inventory. So, it is also not a site like Zappos. And again, a site like Zappos and Amazon, both of those stock inventory to some extent. Zappos takes things that are out of style, last year's fashion or whatever it is, and they sell them, but they're still stocking inventory. And we're talking about no inventory. So what is an online retailer, and what does it do for you? Well, first of all, it is a boon to the consumer, because they can find things that have been tested, and that there's someone giving them information about this product that they probably would not be able to find someplace else. So they offer research for the person who is buying, and that's valuable. It's almost as valuable as the reviews that you get on sites and whatnot. But reviews oftentimes are colored by what the person, whoever the reviewer's personality is. And the retailer who is selling a product or endorsing a product has more hands-on knowledge about that thing, because either they've used it or they've researched it or something. You're not putting up something for sale just for the sake of selling it. You're recommending it and selling it because it's something that you believe in. And that's the crux of it. What makes it a really cool thing is that you can sell it without having to stock it. And that's golden. Most of us don't have a whole lot of money to stock a product. This is a lifesaver for a retailer or a entrepreneur that is wanting to do a site like this. And the reason that it is such a boon to them is, first and foremost, You do not need to have any experience. And that is huge. Most of us are, we're not ready to go back to school. We don't want to go get a degree. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to prepare to do this thing that we're wanting to do. So first of all, there's no experience necessary. And the second thing is being able to provide a service that brings joy to you and to the people that you're serving. Those are probably the two most important things. And actually, last but not least, that it doesn't take a whole lot of time once it's set up. It's mostly how you're going to let people know about it. Okay. Some people have wanted to know, how is a retailer site, I keep saying reseller and I really want to be saying retailer, how is a retailer site different than a personal sales site? And that's a very valid question. And the biggest difference between a retailer site and a personal sales site is this is almost like endorsing product that you find of value as opposed to selling something that you have created. Personal sales sites deal with things that you have created, that you have then built a website and you are actually housing inventory and then selling the things that you have created. Where this that I'm talking about, the retailer site, is you have found product that you find of value and that you recommend for whatever in your niche market is, and you are educating about that product and then selling that product to the consumer. Big difference. What are the advantages of this? And I'm actually going to read them off because I have them listed. So I'm going to read them off because I don't want to miss any of them. And the advantages are that there's no inventory cost at all. There's a low setup cost. There's a low overhead. There is a minimal marketing cost. Marketing is more your time than it is your, money that you've actually put out. And we'll go into that because you can be doing PPC, which is pay-per-click, but that's absolutely not necessary. You can just spend your time and use your social networks and get your product out there and have people be interested in it and order it and purchase it without that. So it's not necessary for you to spend a whole bunch of money. Now, of course, the biggest crux of any new business, anything like this, people want to know, well, all this is well and good, it sounds lovely, what do I need to do this? And I am wagering that if you're listening to this video, you have everything you need to do this. Isn't that nice? So, what do you need? You need a computer or access to a computer. So even if you don't have a computer and you only have an internet cafe, you can do it from an internet cafe. You do not have to have your own computer. Having your own computer would be better. I have seen people actually doing this from their cell phone, from their smartphone. So there really is no excuse. The other thing that you need is time. And if you don't have the time, if you're working another job or something and you're trying to start this up on the side, then you're going to need a virtual assistant. And if you don't have, if you're working another job, then you probably have, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks a day that you can spend on a virtual assistant in order to be able to do these things for you. And you need to be able to train your virtual assistant. And that's not that hard to do. And I will refer you in the booklet and the more in-depth stuff that I'm doing. I'll refer you to how to train your virtual assistant to do what you need them to do. You also need an inventory source. And I am going to say that whatever it is you're selling, make sure you have a couple of inventory sources for the same thing. And that is because sometimes an inventory source will dry up, particularly if you're doing very unique things. Oftentimes, you'll find a source, it'll be great, everything will be wonderful, and then all of a sudden they stop doing whatever it is, they stop making it. And the only thing that usually the source doesn't dry up on is something like an information product, because that's something that you can sell over and over. But for other things, oftentimes the source will dry up. So make sure you have a couple of sources for the same thing. And of course, you do need to have a telephone in order to be able to communicate with your VA, or you need to have Skype or something like that. And then last but not least, you need an internet connection. So as you can see, this is not rocket science. It's not that hard. Now that you have a foundation about what online retailer means and what it does not mean, the next videos that we will do will go into the more particulars of, how do you do this. But first of all, we needed to define what it was, because I'm sure that a lot of people think of it as, you put up a couple of links and, now you're in business. And that's not quite what it is. There's a little bit more to it than that, but it is not very difficult to do. And while we have all this time on our hands, while we are looking at the recession doing its roller coaster ride, let's do something that will set us into a position where we can have more joy, more fun, more freedom, more aliveness than we did before. The recession is a time to let's think of it as a time to have recess. When you're in school and there was recess, and recess was to go outside and play and to, to rest. So let's think of the recession as recess, a time to regroup, to take a little time off, to create, to loosen up, and then get back in there, because it's not going to last forever. Okay, until next time, this is Alea Leyland, and this has been an episode of the Boss Chronicles.